So as I said, in the first part, we are going to build a simple .NET application. And we are going to use SQL Server and ES to host the application. So let's go. First, we are going to open Visual Studio 2019 and we are going to look for .NET Core application. And here we have the recent project templates that we have used. Here you can search for the templates and you can see here you have all the language and here what platform you are going to use. Here we are going to look for .NET Core and we are going to look for ASP.NET Core Web Applications. Next, here we are going to create ToDo project. Let me ToDo sample. Okay, here, and the location is here and the solution name is right here. Let's create this solution. Here we are going to choose the content of our project. Here we are going to have an API and front-end application, and we are going to use ASP.NET 5.0. So here for the API, I'm going to use ASP.NET Core Web API. We are going to wait a few seconds. And as you can see here, we have our API is created. At the same time, I'm going to add the client project. So here, we are not going to use Docker for today. And here, I'm going to add new project. Here, I'm going to write again core. Oops. We are going to choose ASP.NET Core Web Application again. And here, we are going to create ToDo sample client. And we are going to choose ASP.NET Core Web App Model View Controller MVC. As you can see here, we have two projects inside the solution. So the ToDo sample here is composed of an API and client. Here we are going first to work on the API project. Here we have a default controller. If we run the solution, let's set the startup project, and we are not going to use Docker. We are going to use AES Express. Let's run the solution. First, the solution is going to be built and it will be run. As you can see here, the default ToDo sample that we have, and we have the weather forecast, and if you click here, try it out, we can execute it and we will get this data right here. Okay, for our sample, we are going to use our model. For that, I'm going to create a new folder right here. Models, and I'm going to create a new model named ToDo. We are going to add a new class here. We are going to call it ToDo, and let me copy the content of since I did prepare it. Okay, here our to-do class. So we have a task ID for our each to-do. We have a name and the creation time it will be created, and the level of that to-do, it's low, medium, or high. So this is the model. Let's build the solution. Okay, here we have our model. Now we are going to add a new controller. Add controller. And here we are going to create an API controller. And here we are going to use API controller with action. Here, if you want to use REST API, you can create, read, update, delete, and delete entities from entity framework data context. But here we don't have context, so we are going to use the read write actions. Here we are going to name our controller tasks controller. So as you can see here, we have the default controller that have been created. You can see here task controller. I'm going to get rid of this default controller. And here, if you execute our solution, you will see that this controller will return this simple data. Here, I'm going to change or remove this get method and change it with this one. I'm going to create this new method. When we are going to use our model, let me just fix this. Okay. So if we focus on this method, we will see that we are going to get the list of the to-do model. So here we have a new list. That's its name is reservation list that would contain task number 1, which is mediate, and have priority as high. The task ID is 1, and the URD is the system that time right now. A new one here will be created 2, mediate 2 with priority high and task ID 2. Let's run the solution to understand what we have right here. Okay, so here our to-do sample. If we call the API task here get, we will have the 2 tasks that we have inserted, and you can see that we have another methods, one for post, one for get, one for put to update the task, and one for delete the tasks. So what are we going to do first? We are going to go to the client part and try to get these tasks. So let's do this. First thing to do is to create the same model that we have here inside the models here. We are not going to create a very well architected application like using repository pattern, etc. We are going just to build a simple application. So here, models, add class to do, and we are going to copy and paste the same model like that. Cool. Before we do anything else, let's run our client part and see what's going on inside the default template. So let's set as a startup project, and definitely we are not going to use Docker today. We are going to run the application. Here we have our default welcome page from the .NET Core application. Okay, cool. Now we know what we have, what we already have. So let's stop this. Okay. So basically what we are going to do here, let's close all this. we are going to modify the home controller here, the default one that have the index action. So when we are going to go to the index, we are going to call our API to get that list of to do, and we are going to show it inside a nice table. So let's do this. First of all, we are going to remove this. Let me bring the part of code that we have already prepared right here. So here we have a list of to do, and let me install here Newton soft. So here we are creating a list, we are returning a list, and we are going to call HTTP client to call our API to get the tasks, to read those tasks and return them inside our view. As I told you, this is not the very good practice, but this is only for the demo so we can understand. So this is the default index page that have the building web app with ASP.NET Core. I'm going to delete all this and going to paste sample. Here we are going to call the model that we have, which is to do, and here we are if the model is not empty or null, it's not null, we are going to create this table that have the ID, the name, the start location, and maybe let me modify a bit the code here. So as I said, here we are going to have this list. Okay, cool. Let's run the solution and see what we have built here. I forgot to do one simple change, which is the startup project. Here we need to make the both project run at the same time. Here we're going to change it to multiple startup project, and both of them need them to start without debugging. So apply OK, and here we are going to start the project together at the same time. As you can see here, we are returning the data that we have inside the API tasks and that we have created manually. So here we have the task number 1 and the task number 2, and the start location, this is the time, and the priority. We are going to change the names later, but this is mainly that we have what we have here. What I am going to do right now is I'm going to finish the put and the delete methods, and we are going to upgrade this application. Later we are going to add the context so we can work with database, and we can update our tasks from the database, and we are not going to work with static data. Let's do this. As I said, we are going to add, delete, and update to our tasks. For that, I'm going to the client right here, and inside here for each, I'm going to add 2 columns when we are going to add and to delete and edit our tasks. So here I'm going to add 2 ASP.NET actions, one with a method that will update our task, and one that will delete them. I'm going a bit fast, I know, but we will have the full source code inside GitHub. In order to add useful and awesome, we are going to here, and we are going to add existing items. So here we go to www root, and we are going to add client-side library, font awesome, icon picker, and here it will add a couple of folders and files inside our solution. And when we click install, this will take a bit of time, actually not, finish. So here we can use the font awesome, but we need to add few things too. So we are going to the shared layout here. Okay, and here we are going to call the font awesome part. So here we are calling the CSS files for font awesome. Great. So let me tell you what I have done here. Here I have updated the API and the client part without database, of course, without context. We just here added to the controller a method to get here and to put and to get by ID. Let's type here 2, and here we will get the task number 2, and here we are going to add task like that, and we choose the priority, and if the task is succeeded we will see here a table that contain the task that we have added. Here we can modify a task or update it. Okay, if it's updated it will be here like medium, and the delete action of course. So the update were made to the task controller. So here the get list, the get by ID when we return this model, and here the post not yet updated, and here inside the home controller for the client part what we have here. So if you have add task, we are going to be redirected to the view that contain that task. For that I have created a new HTML page that will contain that add model, and here we are going to pass in parameters the model that have been added and posted to the API. If the result is succeeded, we will get that result here, and if the view bag, if we go back here to the controller, we are going to return this. If it succeeded, we are going to show that data that have been added. Also, I have added the update method, which will return, which will update the user right here. So I have done this quickly behind the cameras, so we don't waste a lot of time. But as I said, we will have the full source code right here. Okay. Next step, we are going to add context, and for that I'm going to show all the parts here in the demo. So next part is to add the context and save the data inside SQL database. For that you need to install SQL database inside your system if you want to use it. Okay, thank you, and let's go to the next part. We will talk about the context.